upside down. Sometimes what we will refer to as economic conservatives call themselves or are referred to as libertarians, at least in the economic realm. And sometimes they're simply called adherents of classical or neoclassical economics, people who believe in the old economics of supply and demand and a generally more or less automatic economic equilibrium free of major government intervention. You could say economics as it was before Keynesianism. There are many strands to economic conservatism, and some of these we will examine in considerable depth later in the course. But right now, what I would like to do is to focus on what they have in common. What are the points that almost all, or maybe even all, economic conservatives believe in? The fundamental basis for economic conservatism, you could say, is really a faith in the efficacy and the justice of free markets. And this argument has a number of different components to it. It has, as you might imagine, a very strong economic component to it. But it also has a political component and even a moral element. So we'll look at each of these. When it comes to the economic argument for markets that are made by economic conservatives, they start with a conception of human nature, that human nature is acquisitive and will respond to economic incentives. Consequently, in their view, prosperity is more likely if people have economic incentives to work and to invest and to produce things. What this requires is a security of property rights that can be protected against government and against other individuals, so that people are really able to enjoy the fruits of their own labor. The second major point underlying economic conservatism from an economic standpoint is the view that free economic exchange is almost always beneficial. That is, it's not a zero-sum game. If someone is rich, it's not because he's made somebody else poor. It's because he's produced something that society has found useful, necessary, or at least desirable. And so when there's an economic exchange, both parties are better off. That's a fundamental presupposition underneath economic conservatism. The third point is that general social well-being is more likely if the free market for goods and services allows people's individual economic choices to determine economic outcomes through supply and demand. In other words, individuals in the private sector are a better bet to create prosperity and to do the right thing in the economy than government planning, largely because no planner can have adequate information. No planner can have the sort of information that is available to the market through millions and millions of individual choices about what to buy and for what price and what to produce at what cost. Finally, you could say that economic conservatives generally agree that supply and demand is not just a principle that's important for the sale of goods and services. It's also important in the labor market because it assures the right number of people in each job by offering different wages. If there's a nursing shortage, the response is to pay nurses more, and you wind up attracting more people into nursing, and pretty soon you don't have a nursing shortage anymore. If there are too many bricklayers, the wage for bricklayers goes down. Fewer people become bricklayers, and the surplus goes away. This is a principle that creates a dynamic labor market that can adjust to new circumstances. The side consequence of this, as far as economic conservatives are concerned, is that income inequality is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, in certain respects, it's at the heart of the system of rewards and incentives that drive the labor market and that is part of this system of support.